What is going on, guys? It is Mr. Creasy and Nora Riddick back again with another story time. But before we get into today's video, I'd just like to say either right when this video is up or shortly after, I'll be live on TikTok, probably playing Fortnite with Seamus or something for a couple hours. But yeah, let's get into today's story time. So this story takes place back in August of 2023, and at this point in time, I was in the middle of my off week for football because of the fact that I had heat acclimation a week later. And then school started like 2 weeks after HEDAC started, so I was just trying to find some fun things to do before I had to start my junior year. And this day, starts off as a pretty normal day. I woke up, took a shower, ate some breakfast, probably did some stuff outside, and then like at some point pretty earlier in the day, my one friend, who we'll just call Ron, hits me up. And so I open the message, it's just him asking me like what I'm doing, so I respond with I'm not doing anything, then I ask him what he's doing. He tells me that he's not doing anything, he doesn't have work at all this day, and then he asks me if I'm trying to hang out, like if I want to go do anything. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm down, but I don't really know exactly what we're gonna do because where we live at, there's like not shit to do ever. And he responds back with, I'm sure we'll find something to do, but I'll be over in like 20 minutes because he was just going to drive over to my house. So now I'm just sitting here in my house, in my room, waiting for Ron to come pick me up. And that's when one of my other friends, who we'll just call Mark, hits me up. And Mark starts asking me if I want to hang out. And I'm like, I'm about to go hang out with our other friend Ron because Mark also knew who Ron was. And I was like, I can see if Ron would be willing to come pick you up after he's done grabbing me because we're both not even fully sure as to what we're doing yet. We just need something to do. And Mark was like, all right, just let me know because he wasn't really doing anything that day either. And shortly after this conversation, Ron arrives at my house and I just leave my house, go out to Ron's car, say what's up to him. And he starts asking me if I figured out anything to do yet. And I was like, nah, haven't figured out anything yet, but Mark's down to hang out, like he's bored, if you're down to go pick him up. And he's like, alright, bet, I'm down. Do you have his address? So I pull up his address, put it in the GPS, and we depart over to Mark's house. And while we're leaving, I texted Mark, let him know that Ron was down to pick him up and that we'd be on our way to his house. And Mark only lived like 20 minutes away from me, so it wasn't that far of a drive, but he definitely had enough time to get ready after me texting him, so me and Ron both left my house to go get Mark, and after like 20-ish minutes, we pull up to Mark's house, we grab him, and then we just start driving around for a little bit, because now we're just kind of at the same issue we were at earlier, except with more people. And while we're driving around, we're kind of just trying to figure out like where to go or what to do, and we kind of just decide we're gonna stop at random stores and see what happens. Like the first store we stopped at was a BAM bookstore that was in the old remnants of a mall where I live at that's not even a mall anymore. And at this point, I wouldn't even consider it a mall because it had only the BAM in it, but that's besides the point. But after we were done at BAM, we kind of just drove around and we ended up at this McDonald's. So the three of us walk into this McDonald's, we get food, go sit down, eat our food, the usual McDonald's big backed activities. And that's when Mark sees two people he knows and walks up to them and starts talking to them. And then me and Ron, follow in suit to go talk to them with Mark. And then I start to realize I know one of the people Mark's talking to. So after me and Ron walk up to them, I start talking to the person I know, who we'll just call Sarah. And, we're just catching up because we hadn't talked since like 8th grade, I think. And then, like, during the conversation, like, between the entirety of our groups, a party that Sarah and her other friend are going to gets brought up, and they just randomly, like, invite me, Ron, and Mark, which the three of us were all very excited about because we weren't doing shit this day, and we all accepted the invitation. And Sarah's like, all right, I'll send Mark the address to the place because Mark's the only one that she had on Snap or anything. And we're all three of us were like, bet, we'll see you guys later. And then they walked out of the McDonald's. So after they leave, the three of us kind of just sit back down in our booth, finish eating our McDonald's, and discuss this party we're about to go to later. And all I really asked of like Ron and Mark was that we could stop back at my house real quick so I could ask my mom if I could even go to the party, and like also just change my clothes because knowing me, I was probably wearing like a cutoff t-shirt and shorts. So the three of us get done with our conversations and food, and we depart back over to my house. And once we got back to my house, the three of us went inside, and I kind of just asked my mom if she cared whether I went to a party later or not, and she just asked me like where it was, who was throwing it, and I was like, it's in one of the other towns, like a little bit away from here, and I don't know exactly who's throwing it, just we got invited to it. She's like, yeah, I don't care, just don't be dumb and be safe. And I was like, okay, I will, thank you. Then I went to my room and got changed into some jeans and a nicer hoodie, and then I went to go back out to Ron's car, and before I got out there, my mom stops me again, and she starts talking to me. And then she proceeds to ask me a question I did not expect in a million years. Do you want these two pens I have for this party? And I was like, pens like dab pens? And she's like, yeah, they're both almost empty, but I'll just give them both to you. You can go have a fun night. And I was like, yeah, I would love to have both those pens. Like, thank you. And then she hands them both to me, and she's like, once again, just be safe. Like, love you. And I was like, okay, love you. I'll be safe. And then I left my house, got into Ron's car, and then I showed Ron and Mark the two pens my mom had given me. And Ron didn't smoke and doesn't smoke, so he didn't exactly care. Like, he also didn't really care that I had him in his car as long as I didn't hit them in his car. And Mark was a little more excited about the fact that I had two pens because he also liked to smoke. Now the three of us are kind of just driving around waiting for this party to start because it still wasn't that time yet. But the main issue at hand was Mark's phone was almost dead, and that was our only way of contacting Sarah to figure out like which house exactly the party was in, because we had the address, we just didn't know which house. So now we're kind of just driving around like trying to figure out like where we can find a phone charger, and eventually Mark just decides to bite the bullet and buy a new phone charger and proceeds to ask Ron if he can take us all over to Walmart so we can just go buy one. And once we get there, the three of us just go in, buy an iPhone charger, and then we're all just sitting there at like the exit of Walmart because Ron didn't have a car charger. So Mark had to fucking plug his phone in at the exit of the Walmart till we waited for this party to start. And eventually, thankfully, the party does start, so we don't have to keep waiting at the exit of this Walmart. So Sarah texts Mark, letting him know that the party was about to start, and Mark proceeds to unplug his phone. The three of us go back out, get in Ron's car, and then we start driving over to where the party's at. And you know, the three of us get there, we get let inside, and we all just go sit in the living room where everyone else is at, and we're all having a chill time. And as like the discussion of how this party started is like going around the living room, me, Ron, and Mark all find out the fact that the house that the party was being thrown in, well, didn't belong to anybody that was there. Somebody was supposed to be house sitting for apparently just some very nice family and decided to throw a party in their house, which is low-key fucked, I'm not gonna lie. Don't ever do that to somebody. And after a little while of us just like sitting around in the living room talking to each other, more people start to show up, and then the party starts to get like a little more social and like active. I think eventually the person who threw the party just said hey, does anybody want to go swimming? And like six other people all just got up, went out to the backyard, and hopped in the pool. And I'm not gonna lie, I low-key wanted to swim, but I did not have any spare change of clothing. Like, I had my jeans on, hoodie. I was riding home with Ron after, so I walk up to Ron, I ask him, I'm like, hey, do you care if I get into your car and I'm like somewhat wet? He's like, nah, I don't really care, but like if possible, whatever clothing of you that is dry, could you like sit on that in your seat on the way home? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like, bet, I got you, thank you for letting me like ride wet in your car. And he's like, no problem, man. So I go out to this pool, and I'm not gonna lie, I strip down from my jeans into my boxers and I just hop in the pool. And this is something I've done before. I think a lot of people have done this before. And you can judge me all you want, but I really had no other options. Like, Mark was straight up in that pool with his jeans on, and I was not doing that with my nice jeans. And after like 5 or 10 minutes of everybody just chilling in this pool, Ron walks up and he's like, hey, you about ready to go? Like, it's getting kind of late. Gotta drive home after dropping you off. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. The water's freezing. Like, I'm starting to get a little bit tired because I'd been smacking the pens like the entire night and I was faded. And then Mark swims over to us, and Ron starts asking him if he's ready to go because he was going to take Mark home too. And Mark's like, nah, I think I'm just going to stay here at the party. Like, they already said that I could stay the night here. And Ron's like, all right, well, we're getting ready to leave then. And I hopped out of the pool. I got about as dry as I could. The person who threw the party let me use a towel so I wasn't completely soaked when I got into Ron's car. And I proceeded to go get changed back into my jeans in the bathroom. The insides of them were going to be wet a little bit, but it was going to be fine. And I was just going to sit on my shirt on the ride home. And then me and Ron proceeded to leave, and he took me home, and then he went home. And that's pretty much where the story time ends for this evening. But me and Mark actually went back the next day, so I'll probably tell a part 2 to this story at some point soon. Unfortunately, Ron couldn't go back because I'm pretty sure he had work the next day. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of today's story time. If you guys like today's story, drop a like, comment, and you guys should all definitely subscribe if you would be able to. And I'm gonna be live on TikTok like immediately after this video is posted, so you guys should definitely go hop into that. And I'll see you guys all in my next video or live stream. Peace.